Hello, and welcome to another episode of Red State Blues. I'm host Ben.
And I'm co-host Melanie.
Yes, here with host Melanie. And we're equal hosts, I feel like that. Or we're both co-hosts or we're both hosts. I'm not really sure what that means. But I think it just means we're both co-hosts to me. But anyway, yeah, it's still our show. So we didn't let some evil corporation come and buy us out. Red State Blues Industries LLC, try as much as that would be, as much as I want to be bought out, that so that's great. But we're here.
Hear that, for listeners?
Give me your millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, oh yeah, I didn't win the lottery, so because I'm still here, so and you're still here too, so you didn't win.
Nope.
So yeah, the lottery jackpot went over to 1.5 billion, 1.9 billion, almost 2 billion, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God.
That was crazy.
Anyway, this is Red State Blues. A lot to talk about. This is the week after the election. I actually am like, I kind of can't believe it in some ways. I can, but I can't. But Michigan, obviously, as anybody who listens to this knows, now it has a trifecta. Now, every single, well, actually, I should say that Governor Whitmer was reelected, obviously, along with Dana Nessel and, Jocelyn Benson. Mm-hmm. And so the Attorney General, the Secretary of State, Governor, all Democrats. This will be interesting what happens. Now, the state legislature is completely controlled by Democrats.
Yep.
The state Senate is controlled by Democrats. The state House is controlled by Democrats now. They have a majority in both parts of the legislature. It's like shocking. Actually, I'm really, apparently, according to the news and everything, this is the first time since 1983 that this has happened. So this is actually really a huge deal. It's basically my entire life. I mean, I was like 4 in 1983.
Yep.
So I mean, like, this is like my entire life, and most humans' entire lives, really, who exist currently. I mean, it's just the Republicans have pretty much controlled the state.
Yep.
So it'd be really interesting to see what happens now, and I'm sure that's all the Democrats probably are thinking about right now, like what to do with the newfound power. I want to say I can think of many things I want to see done. But the first thing I think I want to say is, like, I can think of one thing I think they shouldn't do. I just want to get this right out in the open, and I actually read other comments on Reddit about this too. They just need to let the gun thing slide and let sleeping dogs lie on that one. And maybe they'll actually in 2 years get reelected. So, but I don't know. That's just my opinion too. I think in Michigan, it's a big hunting and fishing state. I think they need to let the gun debate, just let it. Don't even go there, with it. For now, let's just concentrate on other things, like social things. That's what I think anyway. But and I agree with the Redditor who originally said it. I was just reading it in the comments in some big, huge ass thread. But like the second the Democrats mention guns, it's gonna be over, man. Like, people are gonna freak, So like that's just again, that's just how I feel. The rural population is gonna freak. I'll say that. So anyway,
if they mention gun ownership, they should just focus on responsibility. Lock up, keep them where they should be. If they even talk about it,
they don't even do it. There's so many other things they have to do. Like, I feel like, and they have so little time. They really probably have 2 years here before the Republicans figure out a way to weasel their way back into power. And
so the whole reason why this even happened is because of the redistricting of an independent, nonpartisan.
Before we even get any further right now, I just wanted to say too, right now we're trying a different room. We're hiding in the basement. We're hiding from our children. They're in control of the house. No, actually, they have a babysitter. But I want to say they're being babysat, but they're being very loud. So we're trying a different room in our house.
Yep.
So I just wanted to say we'll see how this works too. I think so far I think this is great. It feels like we're in a secret little
bunker.
doing our little we're doing our little secret pirate radio station from our secret bunker. Look, I can see a little sunlight out of a little window. Anyway. So, sorry.
Okay.
I can't help it. Anyway, back to politics. I'm not sorry. I didn't mean to bash the Republicans so hard there a minute ago either. I'm overjoyed that I want to see what the Democrats do in Michigan with their newfound power. I am very sad that Mark Bignell did not have anywhere near the votes to win. I was really hoping that he would actually have some chance, but it wasn't even close. In this district. I mean, it was like, 70-30, somewhere around there, 70% to 30%. So I did like him a lot, though. And that's the same with any other. Really, I mean, it went how you'd think for pretty much any Democrat in the rural areas.
Really liked some of the people that didn't win.
DeVries there. She lost by a wide margin, too. The numbers weren't even close. And in fact, I mean, I think the Macomb County Democratic Party people were saying that essentially the Republicans actually got more votes probably than usual out in this area, and a lot of that might have to do with the wind debate, which we've brought up on this podcast before. I think everybody knows how I feel about it.
The anti-wind people won.
Yeah, so that's just that's fine. Democracy,
and we concede that they won.
Yes, I concede that's fine. They won. The debate's over now. There won't be wind towers. We hate the wind. Yeah. We hate the wind. We're not going to have wind towers. So that's great. I actually just want to see in the certain townships that they won, and that obviously is really, really a big thing. That they have power now, and that's fine. I just want to know if they are going to actually be about good governance. Are they going to do taxes correctly? Are they going to issue permits correctly, for building? I mean, are they going to do everything they need to be doing? Are they going to be available? Are they going to count votes correctly? Do they know what they're doing, with local government? That's the question. That's the only question I would have on that. That's fine. The people have spoken. They won. That's I'm not going to begrudge them that. People don't like wind towers, I guess. So out here, and that's that's how it'll be. But can they actually govern? But whatever, that's up to them there, I guess. So, wasn't even close. Was not even close. And that was interesting because really, that was, independents versus Republicans on that one. So the Republicans actually lost by and large on that. So versus independents is essentially an anti-wind contingent party, or so to speak. So that was, anyway, but whatever. So that now obviously more right-wing people though, probably than left-wing, but it might be an interesting combination of people actually. Might be that a lot of people came together on that one. I have absolutely no idea. Anyway, let's try to get back down. I mean, I gotta try to focus myself here, really. But let's try to get down into the meat of this new Democratic win with Michigan again, circling back around. Now that I think that everybody is surprised, the Republican Party and the Democrats themselves are very surprised that they now suddenly have power in this state. And this is no longer a red, it's still a red state, I think, by and large, in the rural areas.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not officially, though. It's technically a blue state. So we have to change the name of our podcast to Blue State Reds now, I guess. I don't really know. No. It's okay.
No way, Jose. They have power now, and I want to see them hurry up and use it and not lollygag or drag anything out. I want everything, all of our social wants done. I want all of our human rights stuff done, because I think that nationally we have no idea how this next election is going to turn out, and I think that state government at this point is very, very important, and we can enshrine human and social rights in our state to protect everyone here as much as we can, and have networks and stuff, social networks and stuff.
Well, I think I was reading on immediately. The first thing I read was that they can repeal the right to work law that was passed under Rick Snyder.
Yep.
I think in 2012, if I'm correct. and that was a lame duck session.
Yep.
Of the Michigan legislature that year, and he had one. It was almost just basically a fuck you to the Democrats, and just to grind it in.
Yep.
Immediately, so there's people talking about this online on the forums and comments, and Reddit and all over the place, talking about repealing the right to work thing, and immediately that I think of there was a Bridge MI or something like that. It was MLive or like one of those state of Michigan journal papers online, and I want to say bridgemi.com or something like that. There's like the Chamber of Commerce or something like that for Detroit was like upset and couldn't believe that they were talking about repealing right to work already. That's like so partisan. Oh my God. You know what I mean? It's just like, they just can't believe that the Democrats would even do that. And it's just like, oh my God. When it was passed as a fuck you to begin with, the gall, you know what I mean, of some of the people out there, like, they're just like, they can't believe that people would actually, the unions want to exist, and like, it's just like,
they can't believe that workers want power. Workers want more wages, better working conditions, good work-life balance. Oh my gosh. Yeah, why would anybody want that?
I think we need to explain what right to work is really quick, as opposed to other things. Right to work is a right to work law is kind of awful, but essentially it means that if you can be in a union and not have to pay dues. That's all it means. So it was an attempt to bankrupt the unions. Yep. And it has actually arguably, according to what I've read anyway, according to what it has worked somewhat successfully. There's quite a lot less union members than there was apparently in 2012. Mm-hmm. And the union still has to represent you, no matter whether you pay dues or not. That's the whole point. So essentially, it's going to cost the union money to have members that are not going to pay dues.
Right.
So I think that'd be a really easy thing for the Democrats to fix. They could pass that. As opposed to at-will employment.
Correct.
That's another thing that I think that they managed to pass at some point, and that means that they could just fire you without. I think that means they can fire you
without cause.
Without cause, yeah, for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess if they that's wrong too, and that's something else that seems like should be fixed quite quickly.
And that was the GOP liked laws like that because then if they had to squeeze to get more profits, they wouldn't have to have a reason to lay off or fire a bunch of people, because they are the party of corporations.
I actually say though, this is an example of where like they're kicking their own ass in a way. Like they're hurting. They're reducing how much people are making. They're reducing job stability. They're increasing people leaving the state.
Yep.
For other states where they get paid better and are treated better. Like I don't understand what the purpose of this. I mean, they're saying like they want to have just unlimited work for workers to lay off at will and to rehire at will and everything. But then they're not going to have a solid middle class. So then they're not going to have consumers. Well, they're not going to have consumers for their products.
Yes, they will.
If they don't have a solid middle. They want to believe that, but then what if there's no middle class anywhere? At some point, there won't be.
Yep.
If they keep destroying it, then there won't be people to buy washers and dryers anymore.
Right.
There won't be people to buy moderately priced cars. There'll be people to buy Mercedes Benzes.
We'll all be living in a cardboard slum. But there won't be people to buy Fords. How is Ford going to do it if they're? I don't know. If they only sell luxury vehicles, how is that? And maybe that's a problem that we have to address as a society, actually, because I think that it is kind of headed in that direction anyway. The costs of things are insane.
Yeah, and I think everybody agrees with that, but the reasons behind that are different. But, anyway, I feel like that this right-to-work law was like a step in trying to gut the middle class even further.
Correct.
Trying to hurt the middle class in Michigan. Well, it was already down.
It was furthering Reagan. Yeah. Let's go back to Reagan, who started the union busting in the first place. It was another way to bust the union. It's the same way they wanted to bust the public schools, and they couldn't get people to stop sending their kids there, so they decided to underfund them.
Well,
they're gutting it via money.
I think in large part that has worked. I don't think public schools have a good reputation anymore.
If you don't like something and it gets passed, you just don't appropriate funds for it. That's how it works in government.
Yeah, they can kill it by starving it.
Yep.
It's called starve the beast, right? They can starve the program or whatever of funds. Anyway, no more starving the beasts in Michigan. Apparently, we're going to become some sort of little Norway, or Scandinavian
hope.
country. One could hope, and they need to do this
ASAP day
now.
one. Yep.
The Democrats cannot wait.
Before they even get in and sworn in, they better have their
Better
legislation
have some
in hand.
plans. Have some plans.
Let's go.
Let's get to
Roll up
to
the
a think
sleeves.
tank here. You know, pass. I don't know. Get Medicaid for everybody. Some basic level of health care for everybody.
Make it a human right in Michigan.
Make it a human right.
The
Maybe pass a
citizens-
constitutional amendment for that.
Yeah, the
I know
citizens
that's
deserve
probably far-fetched, but
fair and equal health care, you know,
But there's There's
things like that.
if you have power, you need to use it.
Yep.
The Republicans sure do.
Yep, they know how to
They
wield
use
it. You need
They
to learn
wield
how to
that
wield
power.
it too.
You know,
And don't wimp
yeah.
out.
Yeah, don't whip out. Don't just be like, oh, my donors.
And screw the donors.
This is what kicks Democrats'
Screw the
asses.
news cycle.
They wimp out, you
Yep.
know? Like, you know, there's something else they could... Oh, I was thinking there's some... I have to look it up, but I think there's some states that provide paid family leave.
That would be nice.
And that would be, you know, just get everybody in Michigan at least paid family leave for like 6 weeks instead of unpaid, which we have now. You know, everybody in the country has unpaid family leave, but we're like the only industrialized country that doesn't have paid family leave. So in case you have a debilitating illness, at least give people a few weeks before they're fired or lose all their money or lose their house. I mean, come on, you know.
We need to make it say we need to do some, and this may be more grassroots stuff to put through while they're in power, but we should make it like, I'm not kidding about a human right to health care, a human right to shelter, a human right to water, clean water. I mean, if that was enshrined in our Constitution in this state, Flint wouldn't have happened. We need to make sure that we enshrine rights for LGBTQ people of color, and women, and privacy. If we just directly go to, like, you cannot... People have the right to privacy in their own homes, in their own bedrooms, and we shouldn't care what they're doing. That's what Roe was supposed to be.
I don't know that the state of Michigan, we might be putting too much on it here. Like we're
well, that's what I said. I think this might
expecting
have
too
to
much.
be like a grassroots type policy change.
Yeah. I mean,
Constitutional
I think that maybe
amendment.
I feel like I'm sure everybody is
We're
going
so
to
excited.
Their wish list.
Yes.
Obviously, we didn't even mention this, but the big takeaway from the election too is abortion rights are now, or reproductive rights are now in the Michigan Constitution. You know, Proposal 3 passed by a fairly wide margin.
Yep. Yay.
And so that all 3 proposals passed by a fairly wide margin, actually.
Yeah.
I thought that was
So
interesting.
next time we'll have early voting too, which will be good.
Next time there's going to be 9 days, I believe, of early voting. Yep. So people will be able to, it's just going to increase voter turnout, hopefully. Yeah, so that's actually, those are big changes that can only get better.
But one change we're not going to do is Giuliani's ideas about the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, yeah. He apparently was quoted on a podcast recently. I'm not sure which one. Probably some right-wing podcast. He apparently was quoted as saying that he believed that the UP should be part of Wisconsin now. And it's created a huge stir online. I don't think he realized what he was getting into with that one.
He stepped in a hornet's nest.
Yeah, oh my God, the comments are unbelievable. People are just freaking out online anyway.
Yeah.
Like freaking out. They're like, we fought a war.
Yeah, we did.
with Ohio over this. You know, like, so we're gonna have to fight another war with Ohio.
You just stepped in
I don't know why.
nest,
Not fight a war with Wisconsin, but Ohio for some reason. If we fight another war with Ohio, we'll get it back. Like that's what we have to do. Anyway, it's kind of a joke, but like I see what he's trying to do there. It's like divide and conquer, because there's actually several counties in, I don't know if you're aware of this, there's several counties in Oregon, eastern Oregon, that are attempting to break off. They're so Republican and they're so red that they're attempting to break off from Oregon because they don't believe that the cities like Portland and stuff like that represent them at all. They feel completely undercounted, underrepresented in that state. And I kind of feel they're paying, because I feel like I've been in that situation my whole life.
Yeah, me too.
Like every single person I voted for has always lost,
Yep.
just about.
Yep.
And so like that's how they feel. So they're trying to join Idaho, and they're trying to. I'm not sure if they're going to have a voter referendum for that, or if they can do it, or what. I actually, from what I understand, though, I think they can. Like, there's nothing like unconstitutional about a county or something trying to break off of one state and joining another state. So
Yep.
it's a possibility, and I think that's where Giuliani's getting this from.
Yeah.
And like he sees with the UP, and it's fairly red with outside of Marquette. It is a fairly red. Yeah, obviously the entire thing is pretty much right outside of Marquette, and he thinks that like maybe they would weigh Wisconsin, like make Wisconsin more red, and they would just write. I'm assuming lower Michigan, the lower Michigan would just be written off as fully Democrat at that point, and the Republicans would let it go. But there'd be enough red counties in the UP. That would be insane if that happened. I can't even, it won't happen. But it'd be, it's interesting to think about. And it also makes me think he's just completely, he's a troll, actually. That's probably really what it is. But, I mean, or completely insane, too. But.
Or he was just looking at the map and going, the UP
that's what he said.
landmass goes right out from Wisconsin.
That's what he actually said.
Why isn't it Wisconsin,
That's what he actually said. I know. He said, "Oh, why isn't that part of Wisconsin?"
I don't understand this. Have they thought of this before?
Have they thought of this?
Yeah.
Like not knowing that we declared war on Ohio.
Knowing no history.
We're trying to get Toledo, and they gave us that as our. We're declaring war on Ohio again. Damn it! Like we're taking Toledo back. It's ours.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Anyway.
So speaking of Ohio, there was a thing about, what was that you listened to?
Oh, well, everybody should listen to This American Life's obviously great radio show. It's been on forever, and but there was a This American Life a couple of weeks ago. That's all that featured Ohio and how they attempted redistricting, the same as Michigan, and utterly failed.
Because it was Ohio.
The main reason. That's true.
Just kidding.
No. Oh my God. Yeah, that's actually so true. In a way, it is. But our constitutional amendment that got voted in via referendum allowed for an independent districting commission. So it kicked the legislature out of the process, which is good. Because what happened in Ohio is that did not do that. They got the same thing kind of like we did, but it was up to their legislature to draw the new districts for the representatives. And they would not. And they could. Anyway, This American Life, listen to that. If you listen to that, obviously, download it or whatever. And you'll see, it's just a couple weeks old. They did not. The state legislature, which is Republican in Ohio, would not draw districts. No matter how much their Supreme Court told them to, they would not do it. So they ended up with the same districts as before. And now they are completely dominated. They have an insanely strict anti-abortion law. They've done every crazy-ass thing that they've ever wanted to do, which is a mistake. It's actually kind of I think that this is proving that it's a mistake for either party
to have control.
To have too much power, maybe.
Yeah.
As much as I agree with the Democrats, and I want to believe, there's some things I don't agree with the Democrats about. Namely the one thing we talk about on the podcast all the time, that's the guns. So, but like, there are some things I don't agree with the Democrats about, and one party having too much power, it's going to be a recipe for corruption, in the long term. It might work out good for starting,
Are you arguing for a parliamentary system with multiple parties?
Actually, I am. Actually, I think that probably would be more stable. I'm not sure if it would be as effective at getting things done. That's the problem I see with that. It seems like European countries have that, right? A lot of them. And they seem stable, at least, at this point in time, mostly. But I don't know how effective they are at actually accomplishing anything when there's like 30 parties and there's like the Green Party, the far-right party, the far-right party, the far-left party, the Communist Party, whatever. There's like 8 million parties and they're all vying, for whatever. And that also opens up weird places. And of course, then again, the Democrats and Republicans, like there's a whole spectrum of Democrats and Republicans too.
Yep.
They just don't say, So Anyway, yeah, enough about
Anyway,
that. Maybe there's so many things like this I want to talk about, but actually, that. Go ahead. Sorry.
I wanted to bring up the the student loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
I'm pretty mad about this. Some court made them have to stop again, and now they're filing an appeal. I got a letter from the Secretary of Education in my email telling me that don't worry, we're going to appeal, but I think that like it's not going to go anywhere. So
I have a bad feeling about this one too.
I think it's done.
I want it to. I want to believe, but it sounds like that federal judge in Texas. What's his name? Pittman or whatever.
Yep.
Like he really is just a straight up piece of shit dirtbag Trump appointee who just completely he's in it for him, and he's in there to just f anybody who he regards as the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not even looking at the macroeconomics of it or any of the actual, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's gonna like cause spending to go up and help the economy because people won't have to spend on their debt as much and blah blah blah. He's not looking at any of those reasons.
Nope.
You know, there's more than just. It would be great for so many people, and there's that too. But there is more than just that. There's bigger economic concerns.
Yeah, like not
if you have
widespread default.
A shit ton of people in, you know, with $20,000 worth of debt, they're not going to be able to buy things that they would have bought otherwise, like houses and cars and things.
But at this point, with inflation the way it is, it's going to be hard for people to even make those payments. And I can see that the default rate is going to go up. The college student loan bubble is going to bust, and then that's going to have a huge effect on the economy.
And maybe that's what he wants to see. You know, I hate to say it as a Trump appointee, though. Maybe that's what he wants to see. He wants to see, and then Biden will be blamed. Mm-hmm. So if the student loan bubble, if like everybody's supposed to start repaying their student loans in January, then what if only like a few people do and most people don't?
Yep.
And yeah, that'll be like a big economic, you know, and like what the hell, you know. So that's not good. I think that they got and the thing is, I think that's a real possibility now too, because they've gotten everybody to the point where they're anticipating the debt forgiveness, because it's almost like it's been promised in a way. So people are like, how would that? I'm not going to pay. A lot of people are just not going to do it.
Yep.
No matter what happens now. And I don't know what that's going to... Apparently, I don't even know. Missouri bought all that debt or something. One of the states, like, is in charge of it. And, like, what the hell's going to happen to them?
Yep.
Anyway, so...
Yeah, so, yeah. I see this as a huge problem for the economy. I see a lot of people not being able to pay for it because they're already paying for everything else.
Yeah, it's not even a matter of choice at that point. It's just a matter
that they don't want to pay their bills. It's that they just don't have enough money.
Yeah,
guys.
they're not going to have that extra $200 a month that they.
I know you
corporate
corporate people
has or something, but
have accounts all over the place. We don't.
It's
Us
impossible.
regular folks, our money goes right back up to whoever we owed, our electric company or whatever else.
I think it's impossible once you hit a certain economic status, like you hit a certain amount of wealth. It's impossible to imagine what life would be like without that. Mm-hmm. So they can't have empathy because they can't put themselves in those shoes. Like they just imagine, like, oh, if I was in that shoes, I would just get rich by doing something and get that money back somehow. Yep. You know what I mean? They can't imagine being without all of their different accounts and all of their different
accounts and their network of other rich people that can help them.
You're right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Their network. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that is, you know, so.
Yep.
Absolutely true. Whether it be family or whatever, friends, other rich people, basically. And that has everything to do in the world with keeping rich people rich, too.
And intergenerational wealth.
Yeah, and so, like, if your father was an investment banker and your friends were all investment bankers, you're probably going to become an investment banker, too.
Yep.
Right, so that makes sense. I mean, but it's just like that,
Yeah.
It kind of prevents other people from breaking in, too, I think.
Yep. The other thing, too, that I thought we should talk about is... not just the economy. I wanted to talk about how election night is now a week or more. And I think that they should change it to the night of voting.
That's pissy and annoying, isn't it?
They should change it to voting night and then count month.
They're like, oh, Arizona still can't count
while
ballots.
we wait.
Arizona still can't count. It's just like, oh my
God, people.
What are they doing? You know, like, I don't know. It does seem purposeful. at this point to go as slow as possible.
Are they using like a chisel and a hammer to chisel in the numbers
where,
into a rock?
I can't help but be suspicious though of like CNN, because that's a little bit, not just CNN, but the major networks, news networks, because it seems like they want to draw it out as long as possible sometimes.
So they have something to
it's
talk
like,
about.
Oh, come on. Yeah, so they got something to just keep on talking about, keep on talking about. It's just like every second you tune in, there's just more election stuff for like a whole week. Just like, come on. You guys got to know probably who's won this by now.
Right.
Like.
And they won't call it, and it's like, seriously?
Yeah.
And then like
there was an election like that in Michigan, actually. There's a couple where they wouldn't call them. And I'm like,
are you crazy right now?
It wasn't even
Look
like
at those numbers.
Remotely close, and they had most of the votes.
Yeah,
and they still weren't calling. I think it was Dana Nessel.
Yeah,
they weren't calling it for Dana Nessel for the longest time, and I'm like, where do they think all these votes for the other guy is going to come from now?
Yeah,
like what is going? I mean, I think that was maybe he didn't concede or something, but I'm not. Well, actually, no, that's not even it, because the Secretary of State, Caramo, there, she still hasn't conceded.
Yeah.
So, and they called it for Jocelyn Benson a long time ago. So, like, I have no idea. I have no idea why they wouldn't call it for Dana Nessel. That was weird, because I don't think the percentages were that different.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's ridiculous.
Anyway, sorry, I keep saying anyway. I don't know why. I gotta stop that today. I'm all giddy.
So they're at this point, I think we're going to have this. Democrats are going to have control of the Senate, right? But we still don't know about the House.
Yeah, and odds are they're not going to have control of the House. So be expecting. Heck, we were watching Bill Maher the other night too, and be expecting impeachment attempts. I mean, they're not going to get anywhere, but they're going to just try to
logger jam. That's what
oh my God, they're just
going
to try to fuck everything for the next freaking year or two, till the next presidential election. Before we end today, too, I also wanted to talk about who you think should be the next presidential candidate if Biden does not run. Because I think that's a debate worth having. I think there's a lot of really good candidates. I was really, not sure before. But after, I feel better now. A little bit. There's a list or something that somebody made, and it's like, okay, there are candidates out there, potential candidates out there, but Biden actually has to make the choice not to run.
Yep.
So in 2 years, we'll see. I actually think Biden's doing a pretty good job. Really, but he's just up there.
Even people that are in these lists, from what I read on People magazine, which was the most recent list of people in both parties that are possible running for president candidates, a lot of them won't even say. Like, the Republicans are waiting to see whether Trump is actually going to say he wants to run, for them to say whether they want to run. And then the Democrats are waiting for Biden to say whether he wants to run or not, for them to decide. And then some of them that were in previous candidates are like, no, I don't want anything to do with it. But then the news was like, well, people say that, and then they turn around and run anyway. So I think this is what the talking heads will be talking about for the next 2 years, and trying to drum up.
The Democrats also, they can be self-destructive so easily. And apparently Trump has a super competitor here, like in Ron DeSantis. He's like the man of the hour. He dominated Florida politics and Florida elections.
Yep.
He won, hands down. He is kind of moderate, from what I understand. They don't have, an insane over-the-top abortion law like we in Michigan we're about to have. They have, 15 weeks or something like that.
Yep.
It's some sort of... It's a compromise. You know what I mean? At least. And that's what people like from either side. Some sort of compromise. Not just illegal in all cases for everybody.
Right.
That's nuts. And he's shown he can do that. And that, I think that makes him a major threat to Trump. And Trump knows that too, because Trump is attacking him apparently constantly now. And but I think he's a bigger threat if he gets past Trump. He's very, very big threat to whoever the Democrats run. In the next presidential election.
Yeah, and I feel like since the midterm election results have come out, I think, since there was no red wave, and it was kind of not as big as they thought, and a lot of the Trump supporters lost in the smaller elections around the country, that there's a big turn away from Trump now. I
Yeah.
think that the party is trying to flick off the bug, so to speak.
That's actually a bigger thing. I think that costs the Republicans many, where there's evenly in some of these races in Michigan, for example, there's more even because of redistricting. There's more
Yep.
even.
Yep.
Where Republicans could have won if they had a candidate who is not completely batshit insane.
Right.
Like in Grand Rapids.
Because
but like if Pete Meyer was the candidate,
right.
he probably would have won against Amy Schulten.
And he was,
I feel like, but like because he got outed, got outed, but got kicked out by Gibbs, who is batshit insane and a Trump dude, and Gibbs had like no chance among the average Joe.
Yeah, because people, I mean, even conservative people, your regular old-fashioned conservative person, they are
they
believe in democracy, man.
They don't want to crumble.
Election denier to be representing them.
They believe in they believe in democracy.
Yeah,
at least.
yeah.
You're right, and they believe in like just the older like Eisenhower type.
Right.
Like that. I totally get it. I get it. Like we don't want to see like society just
crumble,
crumble and turn into some sort of dystopian nightmare. Of whatever the hell Trump world is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like that's not what anybody wants. I know,
right.
Well, not anybody. A lot of people do. I shouldn't say that, but I don't think that. I think like a third of people want that. Most people do not.
Yep.
Like 30% or something, and that's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's so many places across the country where that happened, where it could have been a Republican, but they didn't have the right candidate, or their candidate was, just insane or something. Yeah.
At a national level, too, I don't think that Democrats can really breathe safely yet. And the reason why is because of the crazy lunatics that are in the Supreme Court right now.
Well, I was going to say also, I mean, they're not going to take the odds are the Republicans are going to take the House. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's not like the Democrats even are going to have control on the national level.
Right.
Really. I mean, like that, because a large part of that also is because in New York State, they redistricted and they had an independent person or something draw the maps there. So now the Democrats no longer completely control New York State.
Right.
Like they have apparently for the last 40 years or however, forever.
Which goes back to your statement of nobody should have control.
So the Republicans and Democrats are much more evenly split now. So they're picking up a bunch of seats in New York State.
Yep.
The Republicans are.
Yep.
So the same as they picked up seats here. The Democrats picked up seats here. So it's I think the winds of change are everywhere, really. But
what I wanted to say was there's cases coming up that are going to go before the Supreme Court, and right now, ICWA is a big deal. That's coming up and it's being heard and right now in the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that's right.
And which has huge ramifications for Native American families.
There's a very, very
and
good,
sovereignty itself, because
children are the future.
Yes.
Children, if the government just says anybody can just go take an Indian kid,
which is already a definition of genocide, taking people's children.
According to the UN, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's unbelievable that's even debatable.
Right.
It's insane. It's cultural genocide, essentially, is what it is. Because they're not killing the kid, but they're raising them as a
disconnected from their culture.
I won't even say white person. I'm going to say settler. I like settler is like the way of saying that. I like that, maybe more of a Canadian term, but I like that word.
Land takers.
Settlers. Yeah, I mean, that's what they are. Yeah.
But my whole point in bringing this up is this: we're going to have to brace ourselves and make sure we're ready for grassroots stuff to be able to argue against some of the things that's going to happen with the Supreme Court this year. And I think that this is why I'm focusing on, like, everybody needs to get out and be grassroots with our state to enshrine certain rights in our state. So perhaps making ICWA a Michigan law guaranteed by the Michigan legislature instead of just only relying on national, because I feel like at this point the national scene is not going to be helpful to us.
Yeah.
We need to enshrine our own stuff state level also.
I think that's true.
Do a double fight here. So keep fighting the Supreme Court case, but also go in and protect our tribes in our state. And I know that we're federal tribes and we should be more focused on federal government, but I feel like there's so much anti-democracy going on at the federal level that I want to make sure that we have some kind of agreement locally
Yeah, you
to
can't
protect our kids any way we can.
you can't depend on the federal government to save you.
No.
No matter who you are at this
Nope.
point. You can't depend on them for voting rights. You can't depend on them for any. I mean, the Supreme Court is just going through over the last decade. I mean, they've been doing this. This is not new. They've been gutting everything. They've gutted the Voting Rights Act. They've gutted. It would not surprise me in the slightest if they gutted ICWA, if they just
Right.
got rid of it. So,
And the
like,
thing
it's-
to
yeah.
me is that when you look at any other nation that's a sovereign nation, they exercise their sovereignty. And what I would do as Native nations here is revoke the use of the land, perhaps, or any other numerous ways we could exercise our sovereignty to bring about the point that the federal government does not control us. We are not domestically dependent. We are sovereign individual nations in this country. So we need to act like it. Calling upon all of you tribal councils out there. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Well, I believe you too. Yeah, I think that like grassroots is the key.
Because Russia doesn't ask us if they're sovereign, do they?
Local politics is key. Keep making agreements with states.
We could make some kind
At
of
least it's-
compact.
I know out west that's impossible probably because states are just going to just dominate tribes out west for some reason. So they are going to be much more dependent. But here it might be a little different. You think? I don't know. But I would like to believe that.
I would like to try something
So,
that our kids can't be taken again. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know enough about it to. I mean, as far as like, I don't know what the relationship between state government and tribal government is in Michigan. I know it's rocky out west. Very like in the different like in Oklahoma and all these other like states. It's rocky.
Yep.
Right, and it's not probably very good. So, but Michigan, I don't ever think. I don't know. I think Michigan probably benefits from it. quite a
Michigan
bit.
benefits from
So-
a lot of the gaming compacts, which is good leverage to use for enacting other kinds of protections or compacts between the tribes and the state. Just like, we should be making and have made, I shouldn't say we should be, we have made compacts between Michigan and Wisconsin in order to save the lakes. There's all kinds of compacts that can be made.
Yeah.
Exercising our sovereignty but protecting our rights locally, I think, is the main game changer here.
Yeah, I think that's going to require referendums again, protests, all of those things. I would assume at this point. I mean, I would go under the assumption nothing is sacred to the Supreme Court.
Right.
Just assume that right there.
Yep.
Like they got rid of Roe, nothing else. Like
Correct.
they'll get rid of ICWA without even.
Yep.
I mean, I think
They'll
that
get rid of it.
they've already been talking about it a bit.
Yep.
And I think that interestingly, some Republicans are not as against it. It's a mixed bag there. But I think that there's such. Yeah, that's just the way the wind's blowing right now.
Right.
Is to blow up everything that has been passed in the latter part of the 20th century, apparently, and just take us back in time. So, yeah, that's.
And just to go back for a second, ICWA, I didn't explain what that was for people that don't know. That's the Indian Child Welfare Act.
Yes.
It is the act that protects children from being adopted outside of tribal lands without tribal permission. And they have to be notified when a child.
And when was
of
that
color
passed?
comes in.
That was passed in the early 90s, right? Clinton,
Yes,
was it?
yes.
Or 92, 93, somewhere in there?
Yep.
Didn't let them take kids anyway and put them in boarding schools anymore.
Correct.
Not like, and I think Canada kept doing that right up until 97 or 98 or something, right? Like,
Yep.
yeah, so I mean, Canada was kind of like on our heels there, getting rid of that. But, yeah, so that went up. Not even just boarding schools. I shouldn't even say that because boarding schools probably ended in the United States right in the 70s, something like that.
No, there were still operating boarding schools up into the 80s.
I just mean, I guess that's what I'm thinking about. I'm not really worried about boarding schools coming back at all. I didn't mean to change that to boarding schools. I'm much more worried about just settlers again, taking Indian kids off of reservations and taking them outside of their culture and raising them to be white, essentially, and then having no knowledge of their own history or anything. And that just seems freaking wrong. Like that it's just, and by any stretch of the imagination, and like exactly what you were saying earlier, according to the UN, it's illegal.
It's
Like,
considered genocide.
It's just absolutely wrong.
And according to the
Anybody-
UN, it's considered genocide, but there's like adoption agencies for a long time are importing children from Haiti and from Russia and stuff. And the same thing goes on with those people in China. The kids get here, they're disconnected from their culture.
I think that's completely. It's different if it's the country, if their sovereign country says it's okay. That is a different situation. The equivalent would be sneaking into China or Russia and stealing
Staking the
those
children.
kids.
Yeah. No,
that
I
would
know
be the
that.
equivalent.
I know
So,
that
like,
that would be the
that's-
equivalent, but I'm saying that
Yeah.
the disconnection from culture still happens.
Yeah, that sucks. But it's. I still think it's not the same. So
No,
like,
it's
that's-
not the
yeah.
same. I'm not trying to say that if that's how that come off. That
If
was
it-
not
no,
how
no,
I
no,
meant that
Yeah.
at all.
I know. Okay.
Because part of that is, like the genocide, the killing of all of our people. There was a whole bunch of stuff that happened in history to Native people that is all genocide, forced assimilation, trying to take our language, they took our hair. I just read a thing that there's like hair in the Smithsonian from the children that were in the boarding schools, and they have 7,000 human remains left in there.
Oh yeah. I saw
That
something.
that are there against the Native American
gonna be
Graves Repatriation Act.
I assume they're going to be returning that. And
They
that's
best
why it's
be.
in the news, right?
Yeah, it just
Okay,
makes me mad. Just
all
makes me
right.
mad.
I
Anyways.
am going to. I think we should wrap this up because I didn't really have anything else to say. I feel like I'm forgetting something.
I feel like you are too.
I know I had something. Well, there's a whole bunch of things I wanted to bring up. We talked about the election. Gretchen Whitmer was on the short list, I think, of possible candidates for president now.
Yep.
Not just Gretchen Whitmer. Klobuchar was too.
Buttigieg,
James Sherrod, the governor of Colorado, who's awesome, and I can't think of his name right now. But
Newsom.
Newsom is from California.
They had him on the short list.
Oh,
and
they
he
did?
said, "No way,
Yeah.
Jose."
Yeah, he said no. Yeah. I think there's quite a few possibilities, but
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe we're just getting ahead of ourselves there.
I don't think so.
But
I think Whitmer is very much in people's minds.
I don't want to lose her.
I don't want to lose her either. I'm like, I want her for
But-
our governor. You guys go find somebody else.
Kamala Harris was also listed, of course.
Yep.
Kamala Harris, and I feel like I don't think that's a good pick. I don't think she's. I don't know, man. Like I feel like she's just not gonna be able to win the Midwest. Like that. Does that make sense? And I think they were talking about that on Bill Maher or something too. But I agree. There's just big chunks of the country she just doesn't connect with.
That's true. And
know?
and the thing of it is I like her personally. I like her. But if you were playing like a role playing game and you need characters with really high charisma scores, like Barack Obama level charisma, she does not have the charisma with all the people
No.
and the ability to grab in those other folks
Very
that
few people do.
yeah,
No.
the rest
Very
of the
few
country.
people have
yeah.
Barack Obama level.
I
charisma.
know he was like
Clinton did.
Crazy.
Actually, I think Bill Clinton did. Very few people have those. Clinton is very charismatic.
Yeah.
But Barack Obama was too. Like, there's very few people, though. Kennedy obviously was. Like, very few people are, though. It's like it's a once. I almost feel like sometimes it feels like it's one in a generation almost. But
yeah. But I want to make this clear. I do like Kamala Harris. I just think that.
She's fine. She just I don't like that. She opens herself up to liberals. I feel like because she tries to say she's like. When I think of her now, I don't know why I think of somebody who's like a prosecutor who's like hard on crime from like another era, and I'm just like, even though I know Biden is from another era, many eras back, but like he's from before that. But like I think of her somebody like that from the '90s or something. Like, dude, screw you. I don't like that. You were like one of those people that like threw people in jail for pot and shit, and like that pisses me off. You know what I mean? Like I just that bugs me. It just rubs me the wrong way, and I think it would rub a lot of people the wrong way. But I don't know. That's just my own opinion. That's just how I see it. But I mean, that's how I'm sure there's people in the Democratic primary debates that were trying to frame her that way, and that they successfully did. So.
And she is proud of her career. I mean, she is.
She's had a great career.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
she's proud of the things she did.
But I just don't like. I don't like that. I like. Why do you got to be, hard ass? So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, if anything, the crime thing, the GOP really pushed that this election cycle. This election cycle, they were really trying to point that out.
It failed horribly It completely failed. This is not 1983
Right.
or whatever they thought it was.
And
no one gives a shit about that right now.
Not
They were
only
actually
that-
caring about abortion.
right.
You know?
But not only that, we're in a time where people are like, you need to expunge people's records that were in there for marijuana charges. We're looking at other countries' penal systems are not like ours. We have so many people in jail in our country, more than other countries, and it's a broken system, man. It doesn't do anything to help anyone.
But it is changing quite rapidly. I feel like they are letting people out a lot more now, and they are actually not prosecuting, obviously, marijuana, but other harder drugs, actually, at this point. I don't think they're prosecuting nearly as hard as they did 20, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, 20, 30 years ago, like in the 90s, they would just throw the book at people.
Yeah.
Just lock them up forever.
What did it do?
For bullshit. Nothing. That's what
Nothing.
I agree with you, but I don't think very many people disagree with you at this point. I think that was like a lesson learned by the country, like that was a mistake. I don't think that everybody thinks that, like, the answer to heroin or whatever is to throw everybody in prison forever. Like, you need freaking rehab, man.
I'll tell you the secret. The secret to all of this is trauma. If people get traumatized at some point in their life by something, they could end up having a mental illness or something else that could cause them to do crime. And those small section of the crime of the people that are in the prisons in our country could benefit from medical intervention on that.
Yeah, but that's exactly what. But if you end up, all right, instead of throwing people in prison. That was the whole argument, anyway.
Yeah.
Instead of throwing people in prison, let's get them mental health services.
Right.
Yes, I agree. I do not disagree with you. So, all right. Anyway, on that note, I think we have gone on long enough about our interesting, crazy-ass country. This is, like, very unexpected, isn't it? So,
it is very much. I did not expect this. I expected it to be more... I expected our state to do.
I just expected Republicans just to win everything like they always do.
They do. They
have
our
state,
whole life.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they always have. So.
Yep.
All right. Now, I guess we'll be back again soon, hopefully.
Yep.
So we'll have to see how this episode turned out coming from our little bunker here. So hopefully it sounds all right. Anything else we had to say actually before we go?
I can't think of anything else.
All right. On that note,
Bama Pig Woman.